Hey everyone! Today we are doing the Midyear Freak-Out Tag. In case you don't really know what booktube tags are, it's basically just a series of questions that a lot of booktubers take time to answer. And so they're kind of general about like what you're reading, what you want to read, things like that. And so this one is just because it's the middle of the year, and so a lot of people kind of freak out like, oh my goodness, I still have so many books to read kind of thing. So it's just a fun little like, there's 13 questions. I saw my favorite booktuber Murphy Napier doing this, and I was like, oh, I should do that too. That's fun. So we're just gonna dive in and pass more books, I guess. Except we're passing questions about books this time. It's fine. It's cool. It's fine. First question is the best book you've read so far this year. It's a good thing I have my computer here and I have my book log like right up here with me so I can look at what I've read and make sure okay, that's gonna be tough. So far I have two favorite books that I've really loved. I think The Rage of Dragons, and coupling with that, The Fires of Vengeance, and The Book That Wouldn't Burn. And coupling with that, The Book That Broke the World. Those have both been so good. I reviewed The Rage of Dragons and The Fires of Vengeance just like a month ago or something. And I was going to review the Book That Wouldn't Burn and everything, but I was like, you know what? Maybe I should just wait until the third book comes out and just review it all as a series. It's the kind of series that I kind of can't tell you anything about without spoiling it. So I was kind of even debating like, oh, did I make it a spoiler review or not? I don't know. So anyway, those are both absolutely excellent. Can hold up The Rage of Dragons at least for you to see. So good. I will also say I really enjoyed Northanger Abbey that I just finished. That was really fun too. I mean, I don't know if I enjoyed it as much as The Rage of Dragons and The Book That Wouldn't Burn. So those are probably my two favorite. I don't know if I can choose between the two. Maybe I would choose The Book That Wouldn't Burn. Okay, number 2, the best sequel you've read so far this year. That's not fair. Because the sequels that I already mentioned of those two books that I read, my favorites, like those are basically the ones. The Fires of Vengeance and The Book That Broke the World, they were both so good. Okay, you know what? I think I'll say for number 1, the best book I've read was The Book That Broke the World, but I think the best sequel might be The Fires of Vengeance. Like, I think I liked that sequel slightly better than The Book That Broke the World, even though that one was really good too. They were both so good. But I guess this way you get like one entry from each series in my answers. So number 3 is a new release you haven't read yet but want to. Ooh, what has recently come out? How new does a new release have to be to count as like a book? Like being new? Because I have a lot of books that I want to read, but they're just not that new. Okay. I did just remember, because I looked up some new releases. Children of Anguish and Anarchy by Tomi Adeyemi came out, I guess, earlier this year. And I do have it on hold on Libby, and it's going to take me a minute to get it. But I loved the first 2 books. African style world building and magic. I got through the first book so fast and just loved it. Had such a good ride. And that was a long time ago. That was like years ago. And the second book was out at the time, and so I was able to read the second book pretty quickly. Didn't love it quite as much as the first one, but still overall really loved it and had a good time. My big beef with the second one was that I really didn't love the romance in it as much. It just felt like kind of too rushed and there for no good reason to me. I would have rather it had been just like a really solid friendship. But other than that, really enjoyed it. I'm not sure how I'll love it when I get back into it because I've been struggling with YA fantasy lately. But I'm really hoping that if I just remind myself of what happened in the first 2 books, that once I read the third one, that we could really get back into it and have a good time. So I am excited to see how that series wraps up. Okay, 4, most anticipated release for the second half of the year. No surprise here, it's Stormlight 5. If you can see behind me, my other 4 Stormlight archive books, and I am actually planning to reread them in the months leading up to Stormlight 5, so I'm hoping to start in August with 1, September for 2, October for 3, November for 4, so that by the time December comes, I'll be all caught up. I'll remember everything. My younger brother, he read this series for the first time pretty recently, like within the past year or two, and he was telling me all these things as he's reading it, and I'm like, I don't remember that happening. I don't remember this character. I don't remember anything about this. I forgot a lot. So I'm excited to reread and remind myself of all the lore and all the side characters and all the interludes and see how everything connects. I'm very excited. Okay, number 5 is your biggest disappointment so far this year. And I was looking over my book log a little bit earlier, actually, thinking about this question. And there's a couple contenders for this. One of them is The Taster, which I didn't even finish, actually, because it was so poorly written. But one that I actually did finish, that was also a huge disappointment, was Her Radiant Curse. And sorry if you read this and really liked it. I saw this book on my sister-in-law's shelf the other day, and I was like, I'm just not going to comment on it. I'm not going to comment on it in case she really liked it. I don't want to be the one who's like, this book was terrible. But yeah, really, really disappointing because it started out so strong with such an interesting premise. Like the first chapter just hooked me. Like I hadn't been hooked in a while, and I was like, this is going to be great. There's this amazing set up with this curse that this young girl has because she chose not to sacrifice her sister, and so her sister's beautiful and has this literal glowing light from her, like she's been gifted by the gods somehow, and then she is cursed with this face that looks like a snake and some subtle sort of snake powers because she wouldn't sacrifice her sister to this magical mystical being. And it's just set up so well. There was just so much potential for the story to be so interesting, and there's a lot of cool stuff, and I loved the world building. It kind of felt like Asian but also Islander-ish. Really, really fascinating. Really quickly the writing started to bug me, and there were just so many, she made so many poor choices. Impulsive choices that really, even for an impulsive character, didn't make sense. And there was a strange kind of romance thing. Didn't even acknowledge the fact that the kissing should be really awkward because one person has a dragon snout and the other person has the face of a snake. What? And it's been a while since I've read this. This was near the beginning of the year when I read it, but it was not well executed. Lots of plot things frustrating me, plot hole type stuff, and it was disappointing because there was so much potential. There were so many things that could have worked so well. I was disappointed. I remember I was ranting to one of my other sister-in-laws about it, how it was such a promising book, and then it's anyway. Number 6 is biggest surprise. I don't know if I was really surprised by anything, something I wasn't expecting to and then I did. I didn't really have anything like that besides maybe The Book That Wouldn't Burn, just how much I liked it. It was the first Mark Lawrence book I'd read, and I feel going into it, I just wasn't sure how I'd like his stuff, but it was so good that now I'm I have to go read more of his books. In fact, if any of you have any suggestions for which of his series to read next while I'm waiting for the third in his library series. I know he has 4 or 5 other series already out and complete, so if you have any suggestions for which series I should read next. I'm nervous to read one that maybe I won't like as much as The Book That Wouldn't Burn. Maybe you could call that my biggest surprise. 7, favorite new author. Okay, probably Mark Lawrence. Oh, but also Evan Winter, because this was the first year I tried both of them. Those are, again, The Book That Wouldn't Burn and The Rage of Dragons authors. So I would say either Mark Lawrence or Evan Winter are probably new favorite authors, but I've also tried Olivia Atwater this year, who writes Regency and Victorian fairy tales, and she's been really not bad. I haven't loved her stuff, but I've also kind of enjoyed it a lot more than I would typically enjoy kind of Regency Victorian romances that are written in the contemporary day. If you know me, you know that I'm really picky about Regency romances that are not actually classics written back in the day. And so the fact that I've enjoyed her books as much as I have, to me, is really big praise. So I wouldn't call her a favorite author, but I would definitely say a noteworthy author. I liked her, which is kind of a big deal for this genre anyway. Newest fictional crush. What? I don't think so. Oh, okay. Actually, I should say Henry from Northanger Abbey. Oh my goodness. He actually was such a sweetheart. And to clarify, I don't really get book crushes. I don't think I really have since like high school. But I will say, I was even telling my husband in this, we're like in the car and I'm reading Northanger Abbey and I had to stop and be like, oh, Calvin, like Henry is so good. He's so nice. He's such a good guy. He's just such a gentleman. So Henry from Northanger Abbey, he's a good upstanding gent. I would recommend crushing on him if you're looking for a new book crush. Okay, newest favorite character. I think one of my most favorite characters was in the book that broke the world. Sorry, the book that wouldn't burn and the book that broke the world. And wow, what's her name suddenly? Oh no. It's not the main girl, not Lavira, even though she's cool. She's great. What's her name? One of Ivar's sisters who he grew up with. And I can't remember her name. Okay, I just gotta look it up. Clovis. Okay, honestly, all of Ivar's siblings are so fun. So this might be slightly spoilery, but it's not really that spoilery because it's kind of just explained in the very first chapter where you meet Ivar. So basically all of his siblings, they're not actually siblings by blood, but they all got like stuck in a library mechanism where they were able to take a book in and basically like get lost in the world of the book and kind of read the book as if they were living in it. And they got stuck in that mechanism for who knows how long, like hundreds of years. They all got trapped in there at different times, but they all came out at the same time at a point where like their ancestors had been wiped out, so they're like alone in the library now. But the thing is, these kids come out having totally absorbed like everything in their book, whatever book they were trapped in with, and so they're like experts in that thing. So Clovis, she is like an expert at combat. Like all of Ivar's siblings are just so interesting because the way that they have grown up and the way that they interact, like they're really, really fun. And Clovis in particular in the second book, just it's really fun to kind of see her grow. Those four in general are kind of my favorite characters, but Clovis, especially in the second book, is really interesting to me. And yeah, sorry, I know I'm only talking about like these two series apparently. I've read lots of other good books too, but just nothing that gives me like a favorite character or like a favorite, like if all these characters about my favorite things, like they're all going to be from the same book. A book that made you cry. I don't know if any. I don't cry when I read books. I don't laugh when I read books. Okay, like sometimes. I don't often react like out loud when I read books. So I don't know if anything has made me cry this year. I don't think so. I mean, it's possible that something in The Rage of Dragons made me emotional enough that like somebody else, if they were me reading it, would have cried. Does that make sense? It's hard to make me cry with a book. It really is. So don't feel bad. Book tag. A book that made you happy. Oh, a lot of them. Okay, let's try to pick something besides The Rage of Dragons and besides The Book That Wouldn't Burn. Let's say with a little luck. This was pretty fun. So this is like a romance where the main kid, he's the sibling of a girl from another one of Marissa Meyer's romance stories, Instant Karma, which I really loved. Instant Karma. I had a lot of fun with that one. So this one's just like following her brother, so it's like you don't have to read the other one to understand it, but it's helpful if you do. It's actually more fun. There's kind of lots of Easter eggs, honestly. Anyway, so he is like nerdy kid, loves playing D&D, works in his family's record shop, and he gets this 20-sided die that he finds that he realizes is like a crazy luck charm that makes everything go his way. And so he's like, oh, I can finally like ask out the girl who I've always had a crush on, who I've been in love with since like first grade or whatever. And he of course realizes maybe he's not actually in love with her. Maybe there's somebody else, like a best friend who's been in his life for a really long time. It's about him learning to fall for his best friend instead of the girl he's been crushing on since first grade. Predictable, yes, but fun. I do love how Marissa Meyer, whenever she seems to write a romance like this, there's always some sort of like paranormal magical element to it that makes it just like a twist. And I wouldn't say this is as good as Instant Karma, but it's still fun and well written and funny and cute. And yeah, it made me happy. It was a good time. It was fun. So if you're looking for real easy romance that is clean and nerdy and has a little magic twist, I would read Instant Karma first, then read this one. 12. The most beautiful book you've bought so far this year or received. Oh, definitely, easily, my German copy of Tress of the Emerald Sea. And oh no, it's already getting dusty because I don't know where to put it on my shelf. My bookshelf kind of needs to be rearranged because it's getting too full. So I have to figure out how to fit things. But in German, it's weit über der Smaragd Grünen. Oh no, Grünensee. Oh goodness, my German is so bad. I'm sorry, I didn't pronounce that very well. I'm going to practice reading German out loud, I think, with this book so I can get better at my German. But my brother went to Germany for a study abroad, and I love Germany. My whole family does. We've all studied German in school, and we had a German exchange student who lived with us for a year. So I have a German sister who's my age. Love Germany. I can't wait to go visit someday. And so when my brother went, he found a bookstore and he was like, look at all these German books, Brittany. Because of course, what could be better than like books and Germany together, right? So he offered to get me any book that I wanted. And so it's very similar, of course, to my actual like original Secret Project edition. It's really fun to have a beautiful German copy. And this one I got last year anyway. So this one is like, well, I got it this year and it's just as beautiful and it's in German. It's so cool. Okay, what books do you need to read by the end of the year? Oof, okay, I've already talked about how I really need to read all 4 Stormlight Archive books that are currently out. So that's a lot. I'm currently reading Lovely War by Julie Berry, and it's amazing. I'm reading this for book club, technically for next month, but I'm just getting a head start on it because I can. This will be easy to finish. I know it looks really long, but like, trust me, I'm going through this pretty fast because it's really good and I'm really enjoying it. So there's nothing else that I really need to finish, but there's a lot that I want to finish. I really want to reread Tress of the Emerald Sea, and I don't know how I'm going to balance that with like reading my German copy, but I really do want to reread it because it was my favorite of the secret projects last year, and want to read it with the physical copy because I only got to read it with the ebook last year. But I do have another pile of physical books that I would really love to make more of a dent in. Okay, so I have a whole stack of books that I am trying to get around to. I'm really excited to read The Grace of Kings, and like, look how big it is. I've been hearing so many good things about this for so long, and I finally picked it up, I think for my birthday. I was like, I'm just gonna buy it. And so of course it's still like sitting in my TBR pile. I guess I've just had like so many book club books and things kind of getting in the way, but I really am excited to read it. The Secret Garden, I mean, someday I'll get around to it. I'm also really excited to try Ship of Magic by Robin Hobb. Really excited. I guess Red Rising is another notable one that I'll hold up for you guys. My book club read this earlier this year, last year, and I borrowed it from my friend. I never ended up finishing it for book club that month. And I don't think I was even able to go to book club that month. So it's not a priority for me to finish this year because I am so much more interested in Ship of Magic and Grace of Kings and of course the Stormlight Archive. But it's something that I should get around to because, you know, I have it. My friend doesn't care how long I borrow it as long as like one of us doesn't move before I finish it. And there's other kind of books in the stack that are I already own the physical copy of it, and so I want to make an effort to actually read it. And there's lots of other books on my Libby app that I have on hold that I'm just waiting for, and those are kind of just, well, I can't really control how long the line is on Libby, and so I'm just kind of waiting for them. But I think that's really it. So that's the Midyear Freak-Out Tag and all the books that I've been reading so far this year and enjoying and not enjoying, and that I still need to read this year. Anyway, I'd love to hear any of your answers to these questions, especially if there's anything that you've really loved this year or that you can't wait to finish this year. A new release that you're looking forward to maybe. Hope y'all have a good one, and let's pass more books.